Welcome back, everyone, to another Explainer, where we take a deep dive into the latest campaign events. Today, we're locking our focus entirely on the wild, incredibly tense events of Session 10. We're gonna unpack all the massive narrative developments that took place right in the heart of town. Because, sometimes the absolute biggest dangers aren't found in a dusty dungeon. They're waiting right at the local tavern.
So, what actually happens when Phandel's finest take a day off from dungeon crawling? You'd probably think an adventuring party just kicks back, sleeps in late, maybe restocks some healing potions, and enjoys a little well-deserved peace, right? Well, as we've come to expect from this specific group, a simple day in town spiraled into absolute chaos really, really fast. We're breaking down Session 10, a heavily narrative-focused day that perfectly captures the calm before a very, very deadly storm. In just one single day of endgame time, we get secret twins stepping out of the shadows, some spectacularly botched negotiations with dangerous people, and a high-stakes gambling tournament that puts literal souls on the line. It's a lot. Let's take a quick look at the timeline here to see the flow of their errands through Phandel. We kick off the morning at the Stonehill Inn, move over the Town Master's Hall by midday, hit up the Miners' Exchange in the afternoon, swing by Barthen's Provisions a little later, and finally end the night with a massive showdown at Bajac's Brothel.
Section 1, Invitations in Phandel. The day kicks off at the Stonehill Inn with a totally unexpected invitation for the whole party. After that exhausting, fiery battle at the Shrine of Savros last session, the crew wakes up looking for just a moment of respite, only to find trouble immediately knocking at their door. The man delivering this invitation, it's none other than Bajak Lao. He's this incredibly charismatic, swashbuckling, eye-patch-wearing owner of the local brothel. He personally meets up with the party to invite them to his one-man show at his underground joint, Casino Phandel. And man, he knows exactly how to bait a hook. He drops this huge hint that a pirate named Lorca O'Shea is going to be there. Why does that matter? Because this pirate might just hold the key to finding the mysterious Tower of Storms. But before they go hit the casino, they make a stop at the Town Master's Hall, which seriously grounds the party with the stark reality of the orc and dragon threat. Harbin Wester drops a massive truth bomb. The orcs aren't just doing random raids anymore. Nope, they have officially formed an organized army. Think about that for a second. A chaotic band of raiding orcs is a nuisance, sure, but an organized orc army moving with actual military tactics and some unidentified leadership, that is a potential town-ending catastrophe. It means the roads outside Phandel are now incredibly dangerous, and it's a harsh reminder that while our party is running errands in town, the enemy is actively mobilizing. Moving right into Section 2, a botched bell sale. Next up, the party heads to the Miners' Exchange to offload that massive golden shrine bell they grabbed from the Shrine of Savros. The plan is to use the gold to help Tibber Wester hire mercenaries to protect the town from that exact same orc army we just talked about. And this setup brilliantly illustrates the absolute clash during these negotiations. Down in the basement, you've got Halia Thornton, a very calculating agent for the Zhentarim, who is actually totally eager to drop 2,500 gold pieces for this bell. But on the other side of the table, you have Vitrovia, and Vitrovia is playing it incredibly coy and is downright paranoid, mostly because she's desperate to hide her bag of holding, which is essentially a magical pocket dimension. She absolutely refuses to let Halia see her pull this giant bell out of the bag. What follows is a string of painfully terrible persuasion checks that just thoroughly irritate Halia. Honestly, it's almost comical how badly this interaction goes. So the crucial takeaway here is that yes, they get the money, but at the steep cost of turning a potential ally into a very resentful enemy. In a world where an organized orc army is actively marching on your home base, making an enemy out of a dangerous shadow organization like the Zhentarim over a stubborn transaction, yeah, that's a massive lingering liability. All right, Section 3, Whiffer's Secret Twin. While that negotiation is completely going south, Whiffer experiences a completely different kind of shock. Out of nowhere, he gets a secret note from a local kid telling him to head to the back room of Barthen's Provisions. Let's dive into this massive lore drop, where Whiffer finally comes face-to-face with the sibling he never truly knew. Picture this. It's the dusty, dimly lit back room of the provisions store. A robed figure is just sitting quietly in the shadows. Before she even speaks a word, she does the impossible. With a simple hand gesture, she mysteriously summons Whiffer's own magical echo right to her side. The sheer awe of that moment for the table cannot be overstated. Then, she pulls back her hood, revealing a female tiefling, and says, "It's been too long, bloodkin." This is Whiffla. Whiffer's twin sister, who has miraculously just managed to escape from Avernus and the Devil Raphael. This moment completely recontextualizes his powers. It turns out they share a single soul across two different bodies. Whiffer's ability to cast an echo, it isn't just some neat combat trick he picked up, it's the physical manifestation of the literal missing piece of his soul. It is intrinsically linked directly to Whiffla. For D&D fans, taking a standard game mechanic like the Echo Knight and twisting it into such a profound, deeply personal narrative plot point is so rare and just a brilliant piece of storytelling. And this adds an immense amount of gravity to Whiffer's brief death last session at the Shrine of Savras. It proves their bond actually transcends planes of existence. Whiffla explains that when Whiffer fell in battle, she briefly couldn't feel or summon her echo. She physically felt a literal part of herself die. It is a breathtaking revelation. It shows the immense emotional stakes attached to Whiffer's survival going forward. Which brings us to Section 4, the Brothel Casino. As night falls, the party finally regroups and heads to the climax of the evening, Bajok's Brothel and Casino Phandel. They walk in just looking for information, but what they actually find is a deeply personal, incredibly high-stakes confrontation. Down in the basement casino, they run into Captain Lorca O'Shea, and his very presence instantly escalates the tension for Boris. See, Lorca proudly wears the symbol of Talos. That is the exact same symbol worn by the pirates who murdered Boris's former crew and sank his ship. But here's the fascinating twist to this. Lorca is actually in a highly vulnerable position right now. He's a desperate, degenerate gambler who's currently playing with his pirate crew's borrowed money. He is sweating bullets because he desperately needs to win the casino's nightly pot, just to avoid being blackmailed by his own men. So, Lorca proposes a high-stakes gambling tournament directly tying the party's quest to the casino tables. He offers a crazy deal. If a member of the party wins the pot, he'll give them exact directions to safely navigate to the Tower of Storms. But if Lorca wins, the price is devastating. One of the party members must join the Pirates of Talos and serve under the great Admiral Muesco. Let's be real here. Most people gamble for gold, but these guys, they are gambling their literal freedom to a destructive cult. And to make absolutely sure nobody backs out, this terrifying magical contract is locked in by a hooded paladin named John, the casino's official oath keeper. He administers what's called an oath bond, which is basically a consensual, modified Geas spell. For those who might be unfamiliar, a Geas is a high-level magical command that fundamentally forces you to fulfill a promise. The terms here are absolute. If the wager is broken, the penalty is death or permanent servitude. Once the deal is struck, there is absolutely no walking away from this table. Finally, Section 5, a high-stakes cliffhanger. What started out as a fun night out instantly transforms into a terrifying fight for their absolute freedom. The party is now locked into a desperate battle of wits and luck against a deeply hated enemy. The cards fall, the gold runs dry, and Session 10 ends exactly right here, with only 3 men left at the table. Vitruvia and Whiffer push their luck as far as it can possibly go, but ultimately, they bust out of the tournament. The tension is just palpable as they're forced to step back from the table, leaving Boris completely exposed against his mortal enemy. The final showdown is officially set. It all comes down to Pirate Captain Lorca O'Shea, Redder, and Boris. With their souls on the line against the very pirate who murdered Boris's crew, how will our heroes survive the next hand? Will Boris's newly acquired divine luck from Timora hold out? Or will the party be forced to sacrifice one of their own to the dark forces of Talos? It is the ultimate cliffhanger for Session 10, leaving us with a final, lingering thought. When everything you hold dear is on the line, how much of your destiny would you be willing to leave to a simple roll of the dice?